If you're an author considering selling your books directly from your website into the hands of your readers, you need to make sure you have a really good, strong sales page. Now, your sales page is different than your checkout page, and we talked about this in the previous video. In fact, this is an entire masterclass series that we are creating here on the YouTube channel for you, so make sure that you're following along because we're going to answer a lot of your questions. I've been doing this a really long time. I've been doing direct sales as an author basically my entire career, but I've been doing it even longer outside of my author career in my business entrepreneurial careers. So I have a lot of tips and tricks, especially when it comes to those sales pages. Now, watch the previous video. That is all about your checkout cart. That is all about that buy page. This is your sales page. This is really your pitch. And we have different information on both of these things. Your sales page and your checkout cart, not the same thing. On your sales page, you're going to have lots of information. This is going to be information after information after information of all the good things that they get. This can have sales and bundles. You can have bonuses here. You can talk about your book, put your book blurb. We're going to put a lot of information on here because it's just one sales point after the next, in a really fun, creative way to get people to say, yeah, I want to read this book. I have to have this book. While your sales page, that checkout cart page for your sales page, is literally just the information they need to plug in to get their hands on that book. So watch the previous episode for your checkout cart page. This is all about your sales page. We're going to jump in and look at an example. Now, these can all look a little bit different. This is one I whipped up real fast yesterday just to show you. Mine actually look a little bit different. I'm actually redoing my website right now. So you're going to see this changing and evolving as I am growing as an author, as my website changes to match what I'm doing at the time. But this is just a basic version for us to look at right now. Now for this, you can have your normal website stuff on the website. You can have your books, your contact page, all of the other things that you do. You can have that header, but you don't have to have that header. If you want to treat this like a real sales page, maybe remove that altogether. Or just have like a limited, just go back to the home page or go back to the storefront, which we're going to talk about in an upcoming episode as well, building that storefront right on your website. Now, all of this is stuff you can do on your website. I actually have a course on how to design this on your website by yourself. It's drag and drop, super easy for you to do, so you don't have to pay somebody to do it for you. You can also use programs like Lead Pages. Now, I have a full tutorial on Lead Pages and how you can be using it. Again, this is drag and drop, so easy, and they do most of the heavy lifting for you. And I've got that over on youtube.com/CamRobinson. So I will link that in the caption for you. If you want to build your own website, you can grab the course. If you just want to use Lead Pages, that is such a good investment. Because I'm doing it on my own right now, I can do all the things that they can do on my website because I have the training for it. I don't use them anymore, but I started out with them for many years in my author career, and I cannot recommend that enough as a platform for you guys as well, especially if you don't have the level of training that I have. So with that in mind, you're going to jump in and you're going to start off with a picture of your book. You do have to have graphics on your sales page. That is incredibly important. Bright, colorful, eye-catching. It can be very streamlined, very classic in your colors if you want, but you have to have visuals there. There has to be stuff for people to look at. If it's just a bunch of words, that's not going to sell your book, right? So you want to make sure that you've got the words there, but surrounded by really good things to be looking at. And you're going to start off with a big version of your book's title. If you have like a subtitle for this, you can put that in here as well. And then you're going to start off with the blurb. So the first thing that we want is to really sell them on this by showing them the blurb. This is the thing you've already crafted and articulated to sell that book. So take your blurb, put it here. You can also put in comp titles if you want. So perfect for fans of, you can have that there as well so that people can get those comparisons to know, oh, well, I like this game, or I like this book and this book, or this game, or this TV show, or this movie, or whatever. I'll probably like this as well. So you want to have those comp titles somewhere on this page. It doesn't have to be right up front, but the more you can hook people in with things they already know, the better you're going to do. So have your book cover and have it in that 3D version. You don't just want to put the book front cover up because we are here to sell your physical copies, right? Now you can be selling your digital ebook copies. By all means, go for it. But your goal here is really to sell the physical copies. And so you want to sell those signed physical copies. You need to show how it's going to look in their hands. You're going to show how it's going to look on the side table next to their bed. So for the first thing you're going to put up, you are going to have just that 3D version of the book, the title and the blurb. Going down on your sales page, you can now do those lifestyle images if you want. If you don't have character art, if you don't have some of the other things we're going to be talking about, take photos of your book in real life settings. Make them good photos. If you can't do it, hire someone. I used to do this for people where I would take promotional photos of their books. I can still do that for you if you need. But there are lots of people who can do this in a professional capacity to get you high quality, sellable photos. And you want to put it in real life settings. So where's your reader going to be reading this? In bed, on the couch. They're going to be reading it and put it on the side table next to them. They're going to see it in their kitchen, on their kitchen island as they're reading your book and making their dinner, right? You want to see it in real life settings. And if you're doing photos of your book, it doesn't just have to be at the cover. Open it up, show the pages, show the chapter header, show the stuff. We want to make this as real and tangible as possible as people are looking at your sales page. So the more you can put there, the better it's going to be. Now, if you have blurbs or quotes from other authors, this is the next section to be doing this in. Now, you can, of course, put this in different orders. You can kind of rearrange it. It does not have to look exactly like this. This is just to give you the basics of what needs to be on your sales pages. And remember, sales pages are long. It's section after section after section of you saying, do you want this? And you need to have buttons everywhere. In fact, I probably should have put a sales button right here so that people could easily see that. And in every section, or almost every section, you should have a sales button where they can buy it directly from you. And that takes you to the checkout cart page that we did in the last video. So if you have blurbs from other authors, this is where you're putting them. This is not really where you're putting quotes from readers. We're pitching this and selling this from that professional standpoint. So you want the other author's blurbs to come here, and you don't necessarily want to blur those lines or kind of make it like that, one of those shades of gray with the reader things, especially if you're pulling them from like Amazon or Goodreads, because those places have rules about the fact that you're not allowed to use those quotes. So make sure you're checking out the terms of service before you do that. If you have character art, get it in there. Make sure you have the rights to use it. If you've hired somebody to do it, make sure you have the rights to use it, but get the character art in there, because if they can see the really hot guy you wrote, or the really pretty leading lady, or whatever it happens to be, the really sexy villain that you've written, if they can see that, if they know who the villain is, if they know who the hero is, if they know who the main character's love interest is, if they know these things, they will be much more likely to be interested in, especially if they see it and they're like, that's my person. From there, you want to go down and you can put even more information about your book. So you might want to put some star ratings in here. Again, you have to be careful how you're using it, what you're using it. You can take some screenshots if you want. You can put the star ratings from places. Whatever you want to kind of show, if you have any accolades or awards or things that are going to be notable, any kind of like press coverage, that needs to go here. And you can see I've started to put in those buy buttons. I would have them higher up on this page. I would have them in every freaking section. And you want to make sure that it says something to the effect of get it here, buy it now, read it now, something that is action taking. And that's going to send them to the checkout page that we designed in the last video. So you want to make sure those are everywhere. Make it so easy, because people are going to start with the top block. People who are really motivated to buy are just going to immediately buy. They're just going to jump in. But some people need a little bit of convincing. So you want section after section after section. You want it to feel at length that you have gone above and beyond and kind of exhausted everything you can put here. Make it long. Make it long. Because if people are reading down into it, they're the ones that need to be convinced and want to be convinced and want to see what you're saying and want to see all of these things. If they go down deep, they're the dedicated people. If they get through that first section and go straight to it, excellent. If they read partway down and leave, all right, so those top couple have to be really, really strong. But then if you can get them to go even deeper down this rabbit hole of the information you're giving, those are the people that are like pretty sure they're going to buy. So make sure you have section after section after section. If you can get them hooked into it and committed to keep going, you're very likely to make those sales. So you want to have anything that's, an accolade or an award or something that is going to get their attention. You also want to have a section somewhere about what to expect. This is tropes. These are the things that they can be expecting to see inside of your book. If you have people who, frequently have objections over things, put them in here in a good light. For this specific series, I had people who I had one person confront me about not liking the torture scene. And I could potentially say with the torture scene so good that it'll rip your heart out too. People will eat that up or they'll repel from it. And that just means I'm finding my right audience. So be clear on your tropes, on the expectations, on the things that they can see. And sometimes, in this particular one, I have my love stories kind of a little bit insta-love, and then I immediately rip them apart and they have to fight to get back together the entire rest of the story. But it is that little bit of insta-love up front that kind of turns some people away if they don't like insta-love. So here, I specifically said it's fast, swoony romance where they're ripped apart and they have to fight to come back together. So I addressed that right off the bat. Let them know let them know, and then show them what they're getting. We're going to show them the interiors. Go into your iBook, go into your Kindle, go into whatever, and take the screenshots of just it doesn't even have to be anything too major, but the first chapter. Just show them your chapter headers. I actually have really cool chapter headers here. You can see I even called it out. Each book in the series has a hidden picture chapter header with over 20 elements you discover as you read. So I've hooked them in with that. You get to identify these objects in this hidden picture chapter header. As you read, you're going to learn what more of these things are and be able to identify them all by the end of the story. And so I'm showing them in real vision what they can be expecting. And you want that as clear as possible, so use the ebook version of this. Don't necessarily, I mean, you absolutely can be taking pictures of the book open, but it's going to be a little harder for them to see that. So do both. Do both is really what I'm saying here. So you want to make sure you've got a way for them to kind of peek into the inside. And that's something they can do on Amazon. They should be able to do it here. So, give them a little bit there. If you want, you can link it out to like the first chapter, and you can have an expanded version where they can just read the first chapter to see if it's going to be a good fit for them. You can do all sorts of things, but it always comes back to that buy button. Remember, something that motivates them, and keep it the same words. Don't change those words. Same words every time you have a button. Button can be different colors to match whatever section you're in, but you have to have some action-taking button so that they can, in every section, if they make the decision, they get to this point and they say, oh my gosh, there's chapter headers with hidden pictures, I'm in. They can click. They don't have to scroll to find a button. Make it easy. Then if you have, again, character art, if you have fan art that you have permission to be using, you can put that here. Graphics, visuals, details. If people can connect by seeing pretty imagery, that's going to work really well for you. Now on sales pages, like on all of your website things, if you find things where you can have movement and sliding, which was just moving and has now stopped, what is going on here? It can kind of get their attention. So you actually do want video playing in the background. You do want a moving background. You do want those character art pieces to kind of go through without them having to do this. Mine automatically goes, but for the filming, it just decided to chill. So you can see how that's going to get people's attention. So that shows you I have fans that have sent in fan art. There's stuff that I've commissioned here. There's stuff that I've created because because I have those skills. And so you can see there's a lot of things that really build up what's going on. And then you're going to get into the sections where you have entertainment, things that people can learn more about your book. So from here, you're going to want to do videos. If you have TikToks that have performed really well, embed them. If you have a live reading of the first chapter of your book on your YouTube page, embed it. Colorful content that connects with them, things that they can watch and listen to, examples of what it would be like to read it. If you have an audiobook that you're selling, have the audiobook sample there. Get things there that people can get involved with in a visual and an auditory capacity, because that's going to hook them in even better. So then you're going to want to put as much information as possible. Again, I said this was just a very basic version of this. So once you have all the media in here you can, where you've talked about the authors who like your book, where you've talked about the tropes that they can expect, where you talk about what the big takeaways are, where you talk about the character art or the characters. You can even go as far as to create like a book page, which you should already have on your website, and use a lot of that information here on your sales page as well, where you break down the different characters. So you can have a section where you talk about the character's picture and then, 5 facts about that character, or who they are inside of the story, how they connect to each other, what's going to happen to them, if they're a key player, if they're a minor character, if it's somebody that is a fan favorite. In this particular series, my fans just melted over my villain. I do not understand it, but they did. And so I could announce him as a fan favorite, and why I, as the author, completely disagree. It's okay to say those kinds of things. And that's going to hook them in as well. They're going to decide, oh, do I like the morally gray villains like the other readers do? Or do I like the good boys like the author does? And you're going to be able to get more fans that way. At the very end, you're going to give one final call. Are you ready to grab this book? And it doesn't have to be, are you ready to dive in? But this is it. This is your moment. With all of this, you scrolled all the way to the bottom. You've seen all of these things. Is this your moment? This is your time for your final hooks. You're going to say something to hook them in, a hook for your book. I said her deceit could cause our entire world to burn, and it does cause your heart to end up in a blender. Oh, hooks. We got them in here, and we want to make sure we're getting them in here even more. You can kind of give some of your qualifier points. I was named the queen of retellings by fans for all of my retellings, so I call that out. I am known for this in the industry. And then at the very end, I'll say, I'm gonna see you on the other side of this book. Come DM me, come get involved. I love to talk to my fans. If you have like a launch party where you film that for social media and it's on your YouTube, get it in here. Make sure you're getting things where people can see all these other readers are involved in this world. And then at the end, invite them into the world when they get done reading it. You can also, if you have on this page that you are selling like signed copies, there's also a spot here somewhere that you need to include. It's a signed copy. Here's the information I'm going to need if you want it addressed specifically to you. Otherwise, you're just going to get a normal signature. If you're doing like a book template or a sticker or embossing or anything that's like fun or extra, spell all those things out. Again, if you're doing bundle deals, if it's a special offer, if it's something that's different and unique from what they're going to find on Amazon and Barnes & Noble and all of those places, have that information high up, pretty high up, and throughout this sales page. The longer this is, the better it's going to work for you, the more opportunities you have to sell it. Get those sales buttons, those actionable, action-taking sales buttons on every single section. Have movement, have color, have video, have photos, have character art, have as much as you can. This is the thing that makes or breaks your sale. This is the thing that will get them to buy in or get them to leave. And so you have to put your best effort in, and those buy buttons all lead back to your checkout cart page, which we talked about in the previous video, but we're not done yet. Get your questions down below. We're doing a whole masterclass. This is a playlist. I have recorded episode after episode of these episodes to make sure that I'm showing you exactly how to do this to make it more profitable and more effective for yourself. You should be saving time and effort creating this so that you can just then duplicate it and swap in things. You can create these templates and make it easy for yourself. You can duplicate these pages like we've talked about in the previous videos, where if you're doing like a sale or like something extra, you can just duplicate this, change out the prices or the things that they're going to get with it, and then just have versions to be able to do this on. There's so much, and we're going to show you how to do this so that you're not burning yourself out, so that you're not overwhelming yourself, so that you can effectively with your time actually do this, because my gosh, can this take up a lot of time if you don't have a strategy or a procedure for this. So follow along for those episodes, drop your questions down below. Again, when this kind of wraps up, it's going to be an open-ended wrap up, because if you have more questions, I will add more to this playlist. I will link all of this stuff down in the caption below, and we'll see you in the next episode.